So day two of the NFL draft is tonight. If you haven't already seen my review and my winners and losers, I'll put a link in the description. You can go check that out. So this is more or less just to talk about what should happen tonight. Um, Basically, this is going to be me just reviewing who the best available players are, and basically a little bit of predictions, not necessarily a mock draft, but just what I think what I think could and should happen. Now, I'm pulling up my top 50 board, and I'm seeing that still left on the board. My number 15 player in Landon Collins is still up there. 19 in Eli Harold. 21 Dorial Green Beckham. 22 Randy Gregory. 23 La'el Collins, who until he's exonerated, I don't think is drafted. 27 Jay Ajayi. 29 Jake Fisher. 30 Jaelen Strong, 31 Eddie Goldman, 35 we have Ronald Darby, 36 Preston Smith, 37 Jalen Collins, 42 Max Williams, 45 Devin Funchess, 46 Owamabe Odighizuwa, 47 Eric Kendricks, 49 TJ Clemmings, 50 Grady Jarrett. So those are all of my top 50 guys that are still there. Now let's talk about some of these guys that no one saw slipping into the second round. Well, some people did. I didn't. I honestly thought Randy Gregory was still going to be picked last night. I thought for sure that there was going to be a team, maybe whether it was going to be Arizona, whether it was going to be the Saints at 31, whether it was going to be the Steelers at 22 that were going to take Randy Gregory. I definitely thought that Landon Collins was going to go. I thought Landon Collins was a first round lock. I thought he was a very good player. Wasn't a top 10 talent, but definitely a top 20 talent. I had him going 16th to the Houston Texans, and that did not happen. They instead took one of my favorite players in Kevin Johnson, so that works anyways. Um, but Eli Harold's still there, and Randy Gregory's still there. Randy Gregory I get because of the failed drug test. Eli Harold should have gone round one. You watch some of his tape. Watch the game against Pittsburgh. Watch the game against UCLA. He was tearing these teams up. Louisville, he destroyed his matchup against Louisville. You watch those three games, and he's really good. But there are also some games where you watch and you maybe explains why he's a little inconsistent, but he's got just as quick of a first step as anyone else in this draft. So I would compare his first step to Dante Fowler. I think that they may end up being the best two pros from this pass rushing group. I also think that some of the wide receivers that are left should have gone yesterday. Most notably for me is Jaelen Strong. I would take Jaelen Strong over Breshad Perriman any day of the week. Any day of the week. Breshad Perriman has that one thing missing that you kind of need to be a receiver in the NFL. These hands. He drops the easiest catches. I played a little wide receiver. I played a little running back. I'm pretty sure if you were to have someone throw me 50 balls, I would probably catch about the same as Breshad Perriman. Breshad Perriman has some of the worst hands in this draft class, and I really, out of all the teams to pick him, it was shocking that it was the Baltimore Ravens. Because the Ravens don't fuck up in the first round, and I think that they fucked up big time. I rated that pick a D-. I really didn't. I get that you wanted to replace Torrey Smith, but you replaced him with the wrong guy. You should have gone ahead, and you should have done the right thing and taken Jaelen Strong. Jaelen Strong's still there. I think he's a great, player in consideration for the number 33 pick. I would not be surprised if he's the first player off the board tonight. In addition, Dorial Green Beckham, Randy Gregory, they may fall even further. just because after the really bad off the field season for the NFL with the Adrian Peterson situation, Jonathan Dwyer situation, Greg Hardy situation, Aaron Hernandez getting convicted, do you really want anyone who's got off the field issues? Whether it's maturity issues, there's speculation about Randall Gregory's mental state, Dorial Green Beckham with all of his baggage. I I don't know. These guys may still be there tomorrow. I don't think Gregory's going to last to the fourth round. I think he'll probably be out of it, be out of here by the end of the second. Dorial Green Beckham's a wild card. He could go fourth round, and I still wouldn't really be all that surprised. Um, Trying to think of some other. I'm hoping more trades tonight. I really am. I think last night was a little boring to watch. There wasn't a lot of trades, and I think half of the fun of watching the draft is just seeing who's moving up to get who, and no one was really moving up to get anyone. But I think that just speaks to the overall, the class. I mean, as bad as I thought it was at points in in draft season, where I thought, well, damn, like it's not quite as bad as 2013, but it's up there with being about as bad. The more I watched film and I like just delved into the film for like the last month, um, I actually started to like the class a little bit more. I think that there were a lot of weak spots in as far as position depth, but they made up for it in other positions. And one of those positions is the running back. Thankfully, that first round dread of running backs is done. We can put that behind us. Two guys in the first round. I would say just for the second round, guys that will likely have the names called: Jay Ajayi, Duke Johnson, even though I'm not necessarily high on Duke Johnson, Tevin Coleman, and maybe TJ Yeldon. So that's four in the second. And because the way I see it, I'm not sure if Tennessee really, should stick with Bishop Sankey. I mean, he wasn't, he shouldn't have been the first pick in last year's, running back crop. If Trey Mason's going to get replaced by Todd Gurley, then Bishop Sankey should be replaced by even like a fifth rounder in this draft. He really was not worth it. Um, the Jacksonville Jaguars, that could be, two more running backs within the first five picks of the second round. The Cowboys are still looking. We know that the Cardinals are still looking for a running back. And then you go to the third round, and the third round, I think that there could be, again, maybe another four running backs taken, starting with David Cobb from Minnesota. I really like David Cobb. I think he's very underrated, and I think a team like the Jets could maybe go for him in round three. If they want to restore that kind of ground and pound and play physical defense, if they walk away with the way I see it, if the Jets can walk away with Leonard Williams, Jalen Strong, and David Cobb through the first 3 days, they may just win this whole draft. Yeah, so David Cobb could, round three. David Johnson from Northern Iowa. I really think that someone is going to take a flyer on Josh Robinson out of Mississippi State. I really like him. I think he's a really good running back. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Maurice Jones-Drew because he's small, but you can't tackle him because he'll just break right through you. And yeah, so I think that we could see a couple more. I'm really, really sold on on the running back position. I wouldn't be surprised if Malcolm Brown, the other Malcolm Brown from Texas, the running back, gets picked in maybe round three. There are good running backs everywhere in this class. So why not take a flyer, on one in the third round? And if you think that there's another good value at running back in rounds 5, 6, and 7, if Terrence McGee is still there in round 6, take him. Like it doesn't matter. You get a quality running back at every round in this draft. It's beautiful. After a really bad year of running back last year, I wasn't sold on Jeremy Hill. I was wrong. I was sold on Bishop Sankey. I was wrong. This is exactly what we needed. And I think that there are still some really good players, at cornerback that are still available. Jalen Collins being one, but how much do you weight the failed drug test? if you don't wait the failed drug test, if you wait the failed drug test very heavily, then go get one of my favorite guys in Ronald Darby. Um, Very consistent cover corner, very fast too. Thought he was very comparable with Trey Waynes. They were both in my top five. Other corners, I would really like to see Alex Carter from Stanford go. I really think he's a solid corner. Jacoby Glenn from the University of Central Florida. Maybe not. Well, he had 11 interceptions or something. He had like, I want to say it was 11 interceptions last year. Played really well, but he took too many risks. Isn't overly fast. He might end up playing safety at the next level. Speaking of safeties, there are still really good safeties out there. I'm tired of people saying that this was a one safety draft with Landon Collins, because clearly it wasn't. Demarius Randall was the safety taken last night. Landon Collins is going to go tonight. Jaquiski Tartt is going to go tonight. Trying to think of some more safeties that'll likely go tonight. There are safeties out there that are good. Anthony Harris out of Virginia, Curtis Drummond from Michigan State. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them go tonight. Another shocker at the safety position, I wouldn't be surprised if Cedric Thompson from the University of Minnesota goes tonight. Tight ends, who's going to be the first one taken? Max Williams, is the consensus #1 guy, but teams aren't sold on his, on his character. Apparently, in interviews, they were bringing him in, and he was, he seemed bored. Didn't really seem like he wanted to be there. Similar things were said about Clive Walford and Rory Anderson, which means that maybe one of my favorite tight ends could be the first one, and that's Wes Saxton out of South Alabama. Tight ends in a position of intrigue. The remaining tackles: T.J. Clemmings, Jake Fisher, Donovan Smith. There are still guys that could have gone round 1 that we may not see go till round 3. I actually, the more I see, the more I see of these players, the more guys that I thought, that I think, well, in any other draft, with the exception of last year, they could be a first-round pick. I actually changed my opinion on this draft. I really like the draft. I'm hoping for big things tonight. Lots of running backs, lots of wide receivers. Don't really care so much about the quarterbacks, because the guy that I want, the guy that excites me the most at quarterback, he's like a 5th-round draft pick, and that's Brandon Bridge out of South Alabama. I want lots of wideouts, lots of running backs, lots of wide receivers. I want, Eric Kendricks, to get drafted high, because Michael Kendricks plays for my Eagles, and I really like both of them. I want Denzel Perryman, to do well, because I think he's a thumper. And I think he's going to be that, the next in a long line of hard-hitting linebackers from Miami. But I want some surprises too. I want maybe some guys that everyone thought were a 2nd-round pick to maybe fall into, into round 4, so that I have intrigue to watch tomorrow. That's just my overall feeling. This is kind of just me saying a lot, but yeah, that's just kind of my predictions. Basically, position groups that are going to have runs is the general consensus of this. This is going to be the running backs, wide receivers, the corners, the safeties, and the linebackers. Maybe not so much on the pass rushes and the interior linemen. If we can save those guys for round 4, rounds 4 through 7, then I'm in. So yeah, until next time. I'm out here, guys. Peace.